Hello, 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 hello. Yo! And we have a story. This is kind of like breaking news. So, Noel Clarke's been arrested. We don't know what for. So, officers raided the 49-year-old BBC actor's family home in Kensington, West London, just before 9 a.m. with a specialist dog unit used in the search. Clarke's arrest this morning follows his failed libel case against the Guardian newspaper. It is not known why he was arrested. At the 6-week civil case, more than 12 women gave evidence alleging they were sexually abused or harassed by the actor. Police spent at least 5 hours at his home today, with officers seeing and leaving the boxes containing laptops and documents. Whoa. No, Clarke, what do they have on you? What do they have on you, Noel Clarke? Whoa, man, this guy looking old, man. He looking old. See about Noel Clarke, I ain't gonna be evil. Sometimes he gives me this Uma Thurman look. You know when you look at him, sometimes his eyes look like they are okay, and other times his eyes look like they're too far apart. You know, that's all I got from Noel Clarke. Sometimes he looks normal, and then other times I'm looking at his eyes and they look like they're just moving further and further away from his nose. uh, I think I got used to him over the time. But here's what I'm thinking. I don't know what exactly they have on this man at this time, but it looked like they may have some dirt on him. Because if they arrest him, they arrest him for a reason. And I'm thinking they're taking laptops. It's like a Diddy move. You know, I had a video of Noel Clarke and I was talking about how I was comparing him to Diddy. And that's the same thing they did with Diddy, where they raided his house. Yeah, the comparisons is amazing, isn't it? They raided his house and they took all the laptops and equipment. And what they're gonna do, they're gonna sift through all that and see if they can find any evidence that he's kept of voyeurism, because he had been reported to be filming a lot of the actresses without their knowledge. And one actress came and said, "Hey, Noel Clarke has been talking about you, and there's a Pacific birthmark or something on her that only Noel Clarke would know." And he discussed it with someone else, so it was clearly he filmed her without her consent. And knowing a voyeurism person, they would like to keep that for themselves for those lonely nights. That's what Diddy was doing. He was keeping these freak off tapes for those lonely nights. And I think that's what they're searching for as proof, because it looked like there may be more to come out about Noel Clarke. And the joke of it all is like, between Noel Clarke and Diddy, they're both as ignorant as each other. Who remembers when he was saying that everyone was lying on his name? This is Diddy I'm talking about. "Oh, I'm innocent, people lying on my name, blah blah blah." And again, that's what pops out. The hotel tape pops out and everyone looking at Diddy in a different light. Noel Clarke, same type of ignorance. He's like, "I never did anything. All these 20 women are lying." And we might, he goes to trial, loses, has to pay $3 million. The Guardian, and he doesn't have it. The last ounce of money and respect he had, he should have ran with it. Disappeared, done a Mel Gibson. This is what I was thinking. That, you know how Mel Gibson, he had his little breakdown, he went crazy, disappeared from Hollywood for years, and he came back, and he's back in movies now. Noel Clarke could have been that person. He could have licked his wounds, disappeared, and came back and said, "Oh, I'm a changed man," and he could have built his reputation back. Because Mel Gibson's old. Noel Clarke, not so old. 49, yeah, is old, but he ain't like beyond getting movie roles, beyond being a director. he can still make it there. There's plenty of life in him, and he could have walked away, just apologizing for his behavior, but instead, his own ignorance has gotten him into more problems. This is where Diddy got himself into trouble. I'm keep comparing them both because Diddy, he went up and he was trying to say, well, I'm not paying this money, when he knew he did wrong. Noel Clarke was the same thing. He knows he's done wrong, but he trying to sue the newspaper, and he loses because he did wrong. And if the police are sitting down there and they feel they can be brazen enough to go into this man's house at 9 a.m. and raid it, take laptops, phones, equipment, they must be having a lot of dirt on him. Because that is a lot to do to someone. You don't just do that to someone and be like, oh yeah, sorry, we thought something was there. They must have some dirt on him. And if they don't, now he can sue the police for what they done. You can't just go into someone's house and kick down their door. They have to have some sort of evidence there. I don't know what he's hiding. What could be there for them. I did say it may be some voyeurism stuff. But, if there isn't anything there, give back his laptop, give back his phones, leave the man alone, let him disappear into the darkness in peace. But if not, man, this is really the downfall of Noel Clarke. I mean, do I feel for him? In a way, yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. Like, he's done so much. I remember how he kind of like, he was the underdog. He made those little low budget ghetto movies. But for the people in the streets, that was their movie, Kidulthood. That was the movie for them of that generation. It was really real. And to fall from grace, so what I feel, it's like he got so big headed with it. When those movies were doing okayish, they weren't really making any money. I looked at the budget for them, and Adam Deacon said in Kidulthood or one of those movies, he said he got paid £2,000. I was like, what? When you see people in movies, you think they're getting paid some big money, but you don't realize that when it's really low budget. Cause I saw the behind the scenes. He was getting all of these actors in there as favors, and some of them he wasn't paying them anything but 1,000 here, 2,000 there, and yeah, he was trying to make it as low budget as possible. But yeah, I just went off there. I can't remember what I was gonna say. Yeah, but as I say, I feel sorry for him. Yeah, kind of. But it's one of those things where, yeah, I remember what I said. Yeah, it looked like he kind of like got onto, because he was doing that, and then he wasn't really getting much. I saw him in like Star Trek at the beginning of Star Trek. I was like, oh, this man's moving up, man. Going in some Hollywood movies. So I expect him to get a little bit more roles in Hollywood. It didn't really come to fruition where he was getting any big roles in any Hollywood movies, but then he got the Doctor Who thing, and I thought, okay, that's a payment, that's a little lifeline for him, giving him some money. Then he done another Kidulthood movie, done another movie that kind of flopped. And I thought, this guy building himself up. Then he done the Bulletproof, with Ashley Walters. See, Ashley Walters, he's a smart dude, man. As much kids as Ashley Walters has, he got himself into problems, and he realized how close he was to losing it all. Because when Ashley Walters got into trouble and they found him with the gun, boy, they just changed the law where he would have gotten X amount of years. So he looked at that as a second chance, where he could turn things around, and he started to concentrate more. You started to see him build up his actual movie portfolio. I started to see him acting more and more things. He was in the 50 Cent movie. And I was like, wow, this guy looked like he's gonna go player. Then he was in a couple like low budget BBC shows. But as he gets older, he even said like, as you get older, you can get better roles. But he kept his ass quiet. You don't see him, as I said before, as much children as he has, he looked like he keeping himself quiet and he ain't acting up like Noel Clarke has been doing. Because we would have heard it. This day and age, they're looking to expose everyone. And he knows, man, he getting a Netflix paycheck right now. He's in everything right now on Netflix, man. Netflix is paying him good. He knows to keep his ass quiet. He don't end up like Noel Clarke. I don't even think he has too much to do with Noel Clarke anymore, man. It's by design. He has to separate himself from him. And those two were pretty close, and you could tell with Bulletproof. It was a good show. It was getting good ratings. I watched it. I liked it. But it's one of those things like. Then there was Viewpoint. He was stepping up a lot, and when somebody is stepping up who don't really deserve it, and the season's been like, this guy's not a nice person, and he's getting so many opportunities. That's when people talk out, and look like he's getting his just desserts, man. This is the downfall of this dude. I mean, I hope nothing bad happens to him. I don't want him to like commit suicide or anything like that. No. I'm just saying that you need to just stay humble, man. You got this woke award. Like, I don't know, because there's a lot of things where he was talking about Adam Deacon. He said, oh, he gave him a role, but and then Adam Deacon said how he tried to blackball him and telling people not to work with him. Who knows the truth, really, man, between them both, man. Maybe they can both be at each other's throats, man. They both don't just like each other. But, you can see somebody out there rubbing their hands like, yeah, it's the downfall of Noel Clarke. I don't think Adam Deacon wishes any bad on Noel Clarke, but it's crazy how he was going through a mental breakdown at one point. You never saw him for years, and now he's kind of come back. And luckily Adam Deacon didn't do anything to himself horribly. Like, he kept his sanity there. He sorted out his problems. But now he's able to see someone who's trying to destroy him, their downfall. You gotta live. When you're a bad person, you get what you deserve at the end. And that's all I need to say. When you're a bad person, when you're not a good person, you get what you deserve. He was abusing his power. His position was being abused. And he thought he can get away with it. Because what happened, he got so big. That he thought he can get away with everything. Look at that now. Arrested. Well, that's it for now. I just rambled on. Hopefully we know what he's arrested for, but right now we don't know. But until then, I'm out.